Thanks for downloading this episode from Teachers Talk Radio. You can find the full schedule and listen back to all our shows at ttradio.org. Enjoy the podcast.
This show is brought to you in partnership with Hachette Learning, publishers of professional development books and resources that support great teaching and learning in schools around the world. Level up your professional development today and visit hachetlearning.com to explore the full range of titles.
Teachers, have you heard of Bet UK 2026? It's the world's biggest education and technology event, and it's completely free for educators. From keynote speakers and panel sessions to CPD accredited workshops and networking, Bet UK 2026 is where educators from across the globe come together to share ideas, spark inspiration, and find solutions that fuel our mission to drive better education globally. Get your free ticket today at betshow.com.
Good evening, educators, and welcome back. And it's good to be back after a little bit of a break. Had some CPD last week and I wasn't able, or the week before last, sorry, wasn't able to do my show. And the great news is, guys, as you can see, we have Yannick back. Yannick has returned. And we're going to be talking about various topics. I've kept the theme for today reasonably sort of open-ended, but it's things that we have talked about before on this show. We have done a show talking about mental health. I did a show a month or so ago with Tom Rogers where we were talking about teacher mental health. And a lot of similar things are coming up. Behaviour has been one that's come up again. There's been a lot of debate around use of isolation and things like that. So we may get into that. But yeah, I've got a few things that I have looked up that I've found on the internet and using AI. The top five things. See if you can guess what they are, guys, before I tell you. The top five things that are causing a decline in mental health of teachers. I don't know if it's always been great, but maybe it's up and down, and maybe it depends on the prevailing issues. Obviously, we've then got other impacts, Ofsted and the new framework, and that was an interesting show that Yannick and John Bald and I did, guys, a while back. So if you've not seen that one, it's interesting to give that a look, because yeah, there's some real sort of honest thoughts, opinions, how we felt about that framework when we initially saw it. And that is still a very topical thing, I think. But I just want to welcome once again, Yannick to the show. This is the Twilight Show. We are on Teachers Talk Radio this evening, guys. Thank you so much for people who are starting to join us. And once again, if you'd like to get in touch with us while we're on the show and you'd like to comment, then there'll be a box underneath where you were watching this now, whether it's in YouTube or X or Facebook or LinkedIn, wherever you are watching the show from, guys, because we are across all those platforms. If you would like to put a comment in and get involved, you've got some things to say, you'd like to hold us to account on something that we've said, give an opposite view, an opposing view, because as I've said before on these shows, it's very easy to talk about our own individual sort of angle when we do these shows. I've made a bit of a rookie error tonight, guys, in that I haven't got the charger for my laptop that I'm using today. So I'm hoping that I've got enough juice in there to get through. But I think we'll be okay for a little while. And fingers crossed on that one, guys. But I'm really, really happy. And thanks so much for joining us if you have done so. And I'm hoping that we can get through a few things. So we'll see where the conversation goes. So how are you doing, Yannick? How have you been? I've not seen you for, I don't know, maybe 6 weeks or maybe longer.
Before half term. Yeah. Do you think people are a little bit scared to appear on a show because it's nice to have like real teachers talking about teaching things, and the more the merrier, even if sometimes it's you talk less. But I have talked to a few people myself, and there were mixed response. Some people saying I'd like to, but I'm a bit worried. Well, of course, because it's your face. I can see my face. I can see my name. Some people, I'm sure, will know who I am where I work. So you like everything, you can't you can't be unprofessional, and you can't be too controversial, which is fine. And I'm wondering, because it's true. I have a few friends, and we have these discussions, and it would be nice to have these discussions online as well. But sometimes I suppose it can go a little bit OTT, because we tend to become very emotional when we talk about our job, our issues. I think very very personal issues, very well, issues that really do affect us. And I think, I mean, I'm not sure if it's more than other jobs, but certainly I've got a few colleagues who have said, like, oh, at the minute this job is ruining my life. And we're talking about my life at home because they forgot to do things, or maybe they were in a bad mood, they didn't have enough time for their partners, their kids. So
yeah, 100%. And like you say, Yannick, it'd be great. I know that Tom Rogers, who is the guy who is at the top of TTR, would like to see more classroom teachers on here. It's always really interesting to get people who are maybe consultants, ex-Ofsted inspectors, and things like that on. And those people obviously have a lot of value and really interesting things to share. But at the same time, this is really about hearing from people who are in post, as you say, Yannick. And it can be tricky because people do. I mean, obviously, our legal contract, we do need to be careful what we say. But Yannick and I know that we never mention where we work. We're obviously aware that people know who we are. I do occasionally speak to people who say, "Oh, I saw you on Teachers Talk Radio," and people are just starting to say that to me now. I saw you on Teachers Talk Radio. And so what I do is I try and speak very generally. There's certainly lots I could say that I certainly shouldn't say. So I'm always very careful, and I know you are as well, Yannick. So but if people, and a shout out to people, really, if you're watching this now, people will also think maybe my opinions aren't important. Why would they not be important? I think we want, and it's interesting when people disagree to some extent as well.
Yes. It's nice, isn't it? I think that's the point as well, is that if not, you are your own echo chamber. I mean, I certainly follow quite a lot of different points of view on X, and that's quite nice. I don't agree with everybody. I don't necessarily get involved either, because sometimes I think it's pointless. But yeah, you're right. I mean, and in the same way, we've got to be, we say, everywhere, from the classroom to here. So sometimes it's frustrating, isn't it? Like you've had a bad day, you just want to shout, and you've got to be careful all the time.
Yeah, 100%. So it's I think that is something that people do have in the back of their minds if they come on. You just have to be a little bit careful. But at the same time, when you do come on here, you can really articulate your point. And I think a lot of nuance is lost on X all the time. People have fit into particular groups, and sometimes people will listen to somebody speak. Tom Rogers spoke to Tom Bennett. Oh, Yannick has disappeared there, guys. It's just me. Yannick has disappeared. I was just talking about the fact that I saw a little excerpt from when Tom Rogers spoke to Tom Bennett. And even when people say things that don't seem particularly controversial, things can sort of spiral on X. And it is interesting to come on here. I'm hoping that maybe we see Yannick come back again. So Yannick's disappeared. But we'll keep our fingers crossed that he comes back. Oh, I think he's back now. So let's see if we can get him back in.
Sorry,
you're back. No worries. Yeah. Things would go. Yeah, things suddenly went a bit funny there, and I was a bit worried it might be my Wi-Fi. I have had some issues with it before. I'm keeping an eye on my battery power. But so if you want to come on, guys, do get in touch. Do get in touch with us. My name on X is Scientific, which is sort of a mix up of my subject and my name. It's a bit of mash together of that. But once you've chosen something, you've kind of sort of stuck with it, so people know who you are. But that's me on Twitter, guys. So if you do want to come onto a show and have a bit of a chat, speak to myself, speak to Yannick and myself, because sometimes the more the merrier. I just wanted to mention before we sort of launch into it that our sponsors for this show, which is Hachette Learning. Hachette Learning are publishers of professional development books and resources that support great teaching and learning in schools around the world. So if you're interested in doing a little bit of reading around various aspects of the profession, then level up your professional development today and visit www.hachetlearning.com to explore the full range of titles. I just want to mention as well a couple of interesting exciting events coming up next year, guys. We've got the Bet Show. So join Bet for the biggest week in education from 21st to the 23rd of January 2026, the Excel London. Immersive workshop, thought-provoking speakers, hundreds of hours of CPD, accredited content, cutting-edge technology, unrivaled networking. There's no opportunity quite like it for educators. So that's a free ticket. You can get a free ticket to that event if you want interested in that one by going to uk.betshow.com. So betshow, B-E-T-T, show.com. And then finally, something else that's quite exciting, and I might see if I can get myself to this one this time round, which is the Teachers Talk Connect, which is where a big get together involving teachers talk radio, which is the platform that we are broadcasting from. And Teachers Talk Connect is back, our annual CPD and networking extravaganza. Join the TTR team on Saturday the 14th of March in Manchester, and tickets are free. So if you're interested in that, head over to ttradio.org/connect 2026. So guys, some things that you might want to get involved with there. It's a bit of a trip for me, but I think I'd be interested to head over maybe this time round next year in March on the 14th. Right, so yeah, going back to what we were saying, Yannick, something that you mentioned was this idea of being unable to switch off from work, the all-consuming nature of our job, which is something that, I imagine a lot of jobs, in any role you do, there'll probably be specific targets, specific requirements. I'm pretty sure there is no easy job out there these days if you're an employee. But there's just a few interesting statistics here, which I think, when they're interesting, they may not be surprising. It says many teachers, this is NEU survey, this one, report being unable to switch off from work, frequently working evenings and weekends, and cancelling personal plans to keep up with workload. So long hours. So this is still a thing. And I've read another statistic here. I'm not sure where this one's from. And obviously a pinch of salt with any statistics is common sense. But it says here, teachers often work 50 to 60 hours per week. Now, I did a little bit of maths on that. And by my calculations, if you are under 1265, if you stuck to that over the 195 days of our contract, of the normal teaching contract, that would come out about a little over 32 hours a week. And obviously we are expected to work reasonable extra hours, and that will be part of all teachers' contracts too, the reasonable extra hours bit. But what do you think of that, Yannick? Surely that's not sustainable, is it? 50 to 60 hours, almost twice, as much as many hours as we're actually paid to work.
Yes, I mean, like 32 hours a week is about 6 hours a day. I don't think I know many people who do less than that, because you come to school early and you don't leave at 3 o'clock. That's only in the ad. That's only in the ad where the ad where the guy leaves with the kids and says, "Hey, bye, teacher," and you think, well, that guy is leaving with the students. No, not even doing bus duty, which is quite shocking. So I think we do work more, and I mean, think about it. So you're 5 hours teaching, right? Usually, plus you will have so I've got one lunch duty. I've got I'm on call. I've got a morning and a break duty. So there is that as well, which is break duty is interesting, isn't it? When you teach the whole morning, basically, when you can't go for a week. That's I find that quite interesting as well. Or morning duty before school, so you're in. Now, if you want to prepare lessons and mark work, that's it, isn't it? You've got what, how many classes have you got? You've got about at least 10 different classes, with maybe numbers have increased as well. So all the classes are at least 25 students. You do the math. If you want to prepare your lessons, if you want to do some assessment, it's a lot more than that. Plus, of course, the parents' evening, so parents' consultation or whatever, people's consultation. So you've got five-year groups. If you've got year 12 and 13, that's 7. So that's 7 late evenings, if you're lucky, because some schools do twice. So in of the schools, I've had two year 11s. There is that. There will be some information evenings as well. So it goes very quickly, and I think it's fine. That's part of the job. We all know that, but it's the extra pressure as well. So I'm only talking about class preparation and marking, but of course you've got to do somehow an analysis of your mock results. So you've got a sheet which is going to take you easily a couple of hours to do that. That's extra. You've got to do your class seating plans, but that's not all. That's not all the schools have been. We're all doing that now. Seating plans, yeah. So seating plans. That's just not enough, is it? Seating plan. It's a thing of the past. So on your seating plan, you need to identify who your PP students are, who your SEN students is. It's not enough just that they mention in there. What you've got to do on your seating plan is say what you do for them, every single one of them.
Yeah.
Well, 10 classes, that takes you again, like half an hour per class. I'm very generous there, because you need to print their passport, which can be like a few pages. So there is that. Then there's your lesson observations. Then there's the wonderful book scrutiny. So don't mark books, but hey, in your book scrutiny, your books aren't being marked as they should. So always something. It's
there's always something, and I think the different things they're looking for, some of them are easier fixes than others. So for example, quite a big thing that seems to be coming center stage is supporting SEN students for different reasons. There are more students now on the SEN register. I believe more students are applying, or parents are applying for EHCPs as well. So the needs are increasing. And one of the things that I'm finding that's often been levelled at schools I've worked at is that we obviously want to do as much as we can to support SEN students, but that's actually quite difficult to do. So for me, I think it's not an easy fix, that one, because people will say to you, you need to support these students, but then you've got to think, well, what sort of training have I had? What sort of techniques am I going to use to actually do that? What can I realistically do to achieve that? If I've got 15 students who have needs, a few of them might need brain breaks, they might need timeouts, they might need different coloured paper, they might need different size font, they might need a reading pen, they might be hearing impaired and you have to wear a microphone. So actually, to say
you forgot fidget checking, scaffolding, stuff printed. No, I mean, I think you're absolutely right. Is that in theory, that I think the problem is that every one of these students is someone's child, and of course, I am a parent as well. As a teacher, I want to do as best I can, and sometimes I've got a class of 30 kids, and then I forgot to print that thing in a colored paper, because I'm not the only one to use the printer in my school. There's a queue unless you come really early. So sometimes you forget. Well, things happen as well. Your lesson starts badly because this or that. Before you know, anything can happen. I don't think people see that bit where anything can happen at the start of a lesson that will derail it and make you lose your start. I mean, you've got to take the register within the 10 minutes. So the students have got to come in. They need to be pretty settled so that you can take the register, you can be in control, and they're doing their kind of starter activity. So and when that is good, that's great. You can start the lesson. Anything happens there, and then I don't know. Students are late. Students don't, and students don't have a pen. That's fine. When it's 3, it's like you've got to take the time. So they've got their hands up while you're doing something, and sir, I don't have a pen. Yeah, that's fine. So wait a second, I'm going to give you one. That's fine. I've got one. But then something else happens, and then that kid still doesn't have a pen with 5 minutes, and he's starting to get rest. And anything, and people do not. I mean, they don't see that. They think, I don't know, somehow that you stand at the front and then you've got the time to do all this. And we do.
It is quite hard to really put that into words and to explain that to someone who's never actually experienced it, isn't it? The start of a lesson, students coming in, that often they will take time to settle. But that's just human nature as well, isn't it? Because again, we expect them to be settled straight away.
Yeah.
In a CPD, everyone's like, there's clamour, there's murmuring, there's people talking, there's people putting their phones on silent or forgetting, and it goes off halfway through and whatever. But maybe it takes 5-10 minutes for everyone to fully settle down. So it's just kind of human nature, but we're under pressure to get them zoned in on what we want to do. Well, and then, like you say, there's all those other things going on, and things are likely to slip through the net. At the start of a lesson is really challenging to get that right. To get the start of a lesson really good, you've got to really be quite experienced and know what you're doing. You've got to be organised. Yeah, it's not as easy as people make it look, I don't think.
Well, people want you to be kind, to be strict, to be attentive to every single person in the room, to be responsive. Yeah, okay. In theory, I know the theory of all that, and you and me are very experienced, but the reality is still different every single day. 100%. Every single day, no matter how experienced you are as well. It's like some days are good and some days. I mean, anything happens in the school. There's been a fight, man. The students come in and you think, oh God, it's been raining. It's been, that you think, oh God.
Yeah. I'm glad you've said that, because I sometimes do wonder if that's just students that I work with, because it's like they can be completely different people from one day to the next.
Yeah.
And when they're not having a good day, like you say, when something's kicked off, two people have fallen out, and then for some students, I find that's all they can think about. They've got to deal with this problem. They'll be on their phone and they'll be like, I've just got to text my mum. I've got to sort this out. This is important. Sir, this is important. You don't get it. This is important. And I'm thinking, yeah, okay. There's so many things I could say to you, but I know you're not going to listen to me.
Yeah.
But, as a person who's been on the planet for a little bit longer than you, I've got a little bit of a context, a little bit of, balance myself, and maybe that's not quite as important as what you're making out. But yeah, like you say, there's so many things that go on. I don't know whether it feels to me like that has got more challenging. And again, the mobile phone debate is one as well that will rage on and on and on and on.
Yeah, I mean, that I really don't understand it. It's like it's a straightforward no. And
I visited a school, and this is quite interesting because my head teacher sent me on a visit to a school, and I'd never done this before in my career. It's the first time I've ever done this, and it's quite ironic actually, because I remember having a little whinge a couple of months ago on X about the fact that you see head teachers on X say, "Oh, come and visit," and I actually put a comment saying, when is the usual classroom teacher actually going to be having the time, getting the cover? And then, sure enough, I actually get an opportunity that shut me up. But I watched this school that did that did 3 lineups a day. I think it was 3. They only had 3 lessons a day because it was 100-minute lessons.
Yes.
But at the first lineup, I walked into like the courtyard where they were doing the lineups, and someone blew a whistle or something, and then put their hand up like this, and then within seconds, every student had their hand up in silence, and I was like, obviously I was looking around, and I was like, my hand went up as well because well, everyone else is doing it, including the teachers. And it was just like, it was poetry in motion, to be honest. They then went with their boxes. All of the form tutors, I think, went down the line. All of the phones went in the box. No students behind, all in the box. And then they went into these big cages on wheels.
Yeah.
Like trolley, which were metal, and obviously for security, they can be locked up. And they were all slid into these metal cages, and they were wheeled off, presumably to a secure location. And I think, I didn't, and the lineup at the end of the day, which I didn't get to see, they get them back at the end of the day in the lineup.
Right.
But it was just interesting. There was basically walking around a school where no students had any access to a mobile phone at all. And there were probably other factors as well, but it really did seem to make for a happier, more, I don't know, sort of friendlier, students just talking to each other.
Of course.
Having more constructive interactions with each
Yeah.
other. Because I'm seeing go on.
As soon as you got phone in a school, the kids would use it. I mean, it's just not rocket science. In my school, that really annoying. It's forbidden, but the students use it. And then there's, I need to check for my bus pass and things like that. Yeah, there's always an excuse. And I mean, again, there's always that luxury belief, isn't it? It's like, I mean, how many times I've texted my son and he's answered me, and I was like, sorry, aren't you in school? And I wasn't expecting an answer. So my own son's done it. And of course I would say, right, I've got that luxury belief because he's going to an outstanding school. It's not Michaela, you wouldn't dream of it. It's talking, but of course they can cope with that because they've got excellent results, because they've got supportive parents, because the students are probably more aware of how they can use their phone. But that doesn't happen everywhere, and I think it's just, I mean, I would be as happy if that school just banned the phones. That wouldn't be an issue for me.
I mean, I was talking about this with some colleagues after school, and shout out if these guys are watching. They might be. And one of these gentlemen I was speaking to this afternoon mentioned the fact that they don't actually. I mean, the feeling is that there would be a lot of pushback on banning mobile phones. But his point was the pushback probably won't be as bad as we think it's going to be.
Yeah.
So I think what I'm saying is sometimes there is a reluctance to go ahead with something.
Yeah.
Like, let's ban all phones because of the fear of the backlash, because there's going to be some backlash. But it may not be as bad as you think it's going to be. But like you say, that the mobile phone thing is so, like I said, again, the guys I was talking to after to work today, one of them mentioned that a phone had been confiscated by somebody that they knew. And in an hour, it went off about 100 times, about 100 notifications in the space of an hour. Now, there's absolutely no way, if I had a device and I knew it was going off constantly, it's bound to affect my, what I'm doing, my job, my attention, my focus, maybe even my mental health, because I'm constantly, it's such a big, powerful thing, but the fear is very real, maybe amongst school leaders for pushback on it.
Yeah, and that's one of the main problems is that. So it's interesting. There's a huge majority of people. I mean, the parents, most parents would be happy because they can't implement that at home. So they will be happy that schools do this, and there will be, the usual couple of people that, they'll have a sub story or a kind of an excuse. But what I did work in a school a couple of years ago where the head teacher banned the phones. So the phones were allowed, and she came in, and after a month she says, I'm banning the phone. So she sent a letter home and she said, from that day, no phones. And I was, like you said, I was a bit worried. I thought, oh God, I'm not, not looking forward to that. Actually, on the Monday, but there were no phones. And, the odd one, but we never had to deal with hundreds of kids. Actually, I would say 98% of the 99% of the students just follow the rules. And that's, think about societies like that. I remember when I'm showing my age now, in France, when there was a ban on smoking. That was 2001, and the law passed and said, from Monday, no more smoking in bars. And I was thinking, right,
Yeah.
as it's gonna happen. Well, on Monday there was no smoking anywhere. People follow the rule, and most people are good citizens, and then when it's justified, I think people go with it.
Yeah, when they see, like you say, maybe at home, they know that they're not going to get the phone off their child, and I can sort of understand that's not necessarily a failure of parenting. It is sometimes easier to talk about parenting being an issue, but I do think parenting is getting harder because they've got this device. They've got where the whole world is on this device. Why do they need any other interaction? So you can kind of understand that, it's not necessarily on the parents, although the parents have a responsibility to try and put some kind of boundaries in place for it, and age appropriate, and holding off till they're at an age where they can use these things in a sensible way. But yeah, there is such a strong, you're swimming against the tide, really, in that situation, aren't you? So it's a difficult one.
I kind of know what I'm talking about, because I've had issues with my sons to regulate their use of phones, and I've been a terrible parent. So I kind of I know exactly how not easy it is, and I'm here as a teacher saying, do this. As a parent, I'm like, well, I've had some pushback from I was a lot stricter with my older than my younger. My younger got away with absolute murder, and still now I'm like, you spend too much time on your phone, and he's like, yeah, well, I don't care. What are you gonna do about it? I'm gonna take your phone. Why? No, you're not. I'm thinking, well, hold on, who's the adult there? Have fun. And but well, so I don't know. I'm not gonna say I'm scared, because I'm not. But at the same time, I haven't done it, and there's two of us, and
that there's going to be some pushback, and there's going to be some you're going to have a negative interaction at that point, aren't you? Because you're taking away something that is not. It's not just a device; it's their sort of window into the world in a lot of ways, isn't it? Their connections with their friends and everything else. So you can kind of understand.
As you know, though, you can't go back. You can't go from lenient to strict. You can't do that. And I know, like, I've lost that, and that's fine. I live with it. But okay, so my excuse is gonna be the same as any parent. Yeah, I trust him, but actually I don't know what he's doing. I'll be honest with you. And then if someone came say, oh, he's done this, he's done that, I would be shocked and I would be surprised. Up to what point I would try to excuse him, because I know that deep down it would be, I've got a big responsibility in that, because I haven't done my job. Because I've taken the easy way out of this, thinking, yeah, okay, I trust you. I trust you. Yeah, you're a good kid.
100%.
And I think a lot of parents are like that. And when it's your kid, it's different, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very difficult. It's very hard to hear when it's your child, isn't it? But yeah, definitely. I'm just going to mention again, I've got my battery saying 10% at the moment. So it's going down a little bit, guys. I'm just going to mention before we move on, Hachette Learning, who are the sponsors of this show. Hachette Learning are publishers of professional development books and resources that support great teaching and learning in schools around the world. So if you're interested in leveling up your professional development with some reading, visit www.hachetlearning.com to explore the full range of titles. I just want to say, guys, if I just disappear at any point, it will be because I'm out of juice on the old batteries. But thanks to anyone who has joined us. Again, we won't go quite yet. We've got a little bit more time, I think. I think my battery will be okay for a little bit longer. I just wanted to mention a couple of things. Obviously, we've spoke about the challenges in terms of behaviour in schools. Again, there's the whole debate about how you deal with behaviour. and it will rumble on and on and on. That is the third. I mean, of the things earlier on, I said, see if you can guess what the top things are that come out in surveys of the biggest stresses of teachers. Excessive workload and long hours is number one. Number two is poor work-life balance, unable to switch off, as we've already said, too many hours, all-encompassing. And then third is behaviour, dealing with disruptive behaviour and safeguarding issues. It says especially in secondary schools. Again, I'm not sure exactly where that is coming from. But again, it doesn't surprise me. Number four, lack of support and resources. It says around 40% of teachers feel unsupported by their school in terms of mental health resources. And then accountability. The need to be constantly Ofsted ready and meet performance targets creates ongoing stress. So obviously, Progress 8 will come back, I think, in the next couple of years. We know that Ofsted's new framework is coming back in. It hasn't been particularly well received, I think it's fair to say, across the profession. People are still very skeptical, let's say, about what they think is going to happen going forward with that. We still have this, we mentioned just before we went on air, Yannick, about this catch-22, didn't we, whereby Ofsted are there to improve education, but a negative Ofsted inspection is disastrous, isn't it? It's absolutely disastrous. And it leads to this chain reaction of parents then making a very fair choice to want to send their students somewhere that has a better Ofsted outcome. You've then got the issue of recruitment and retention of teachers. Teachers may not want to go into a school where there's lots of challenge and lots of scrutiny and a real sort of push to and need to improve rapidly, because rapid improvement in school doesn't always go hand in hand with good mental health as well. So you've got this balance. Again, there's still a lot of teachers leaving. It says here, where does it say? I don't think I've got the statistics. I did find some statistics on it. A large number of teachers leaving the profession. I'm hearing it's over 40,000 every year that are leaving. Now, I don't know whether that accounts for leaving for any reason, including early retirement as well, and so on. But yeah, that is quite. The statistics on that are pretty damning. They don't seem to be getting much better. They don't seem to be hitting their targets in terms of the number of trainees that they want. I think the numbers around 70% of the numbers that they want to get through the door, they are actually managing to get through the door. And then you've got quite a significant number of those early career teachers leaving within a few years. So again, it's the same issues, isn't it, Yannick? And
yeah. I mean, yeah, I've been there, and you've been there as well, and it's depressing when you're in a school like that where there's so much, sickness and long-term cover, and you never seem to get out of that vicious circle. And as you said, so the students, because you're undersubscribed, you tend to get the people who are suspended from other schools, or anybody who can get a place now, and it's just so difficult. And then I think when you see your the leadership, they say, well, what do you do? I mean, you say rapid improvement as if it was easy, and some maths have got the the manpower to do that. And that's probably why schools like that go into maths, because actually the maths can sort that with good systems that they kind of reproduce everywhere.
And I'm not necessarily anti going into maths, just because, like you say, if the people in the mat are decent and they know what they're doing, then it generally can be a good thing. I just wanted to say before it's getting on, and it may be a little bit controversial, but just going back to our conversation just before we went on air, Yannick, and then you just reminded me of it. are people really aware? Ofsted are trying to be more context sensitive when they're looking at schools. But when I look at certain schools I've worked in and I compare them to the benchmark, say Michaela School, and I think, well, different areas are never comparable. When you work in an area where there's grammar schools and the students who are higher retaining are attending the grammar schools more likely, or parents are wisening up and have choice, so they taking their children out of catchment. When you're undersubscribed, as you say, you then don't. I mean, it shouldn't be selective anyway. But I think the point I'm trying to make is when you're undersubscribed, you have to take students. If a student comes in on what we call an off-site direction or a managed move, I'm not saying that we shouldn't take students on a managed move, and often I've seen students having a second chance and grasping it, and that is incredible to see. But my point is, it's not a level playing field. In certain areas of the country where you have enough parents with nous that want their kids to do well, it just, I don't know. What I'm trying to say is, I'm not really explaining it very well. But it's not, I'm not explaining it very well, am I? But do you know what I'm getting at? It's just this idea that you need, we're not comparing like with like always. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that some, areas like Michaela are easy. Of course they're not. I mean, they've done some amazing things there. I've not been there, but I know people who have been to visit, and it's just absolutely incredible what they've done. And I'm not for a moment putting that down, but my point is, you can't always compare like with like.
You've been listening to Teachers Talk Radio. Tune in live and listen back at ttradio.org. We look forward to hearing from you next time on Teachers Talk Radio.